Galatians chapter 4. We'll start with the 17th verse. They zealously affect you, but not well. Yea, they would exclude you that you might affect them. But it is good to be zealously affected always in a good thing, and not only when I am present with you, my little children, of whom I travail in birth again until Christ be formed in you. I know that this sounds a little bit uh, deep in the wording here written by Apostle Paul, but of course he is speaking in a metaphor here. And he says he travails in birth uh, until Christ is formed in them, speaking to the church of Galatians. Um, that he's using the metaphor of giving birth, and he uses the word travailing. That's the word that is in translated there. But I want us to also use it as he's talking to them, and he's travailing. I want us to look at it from our place in our and that we give birth again as a metaphor, not as the literal part of giving birth, because giving birth in the literal part of it happening, that it gets used in other forms as an example in our lives, even though a man does not give birth literally, but a man still gives birth to things, to visions, to dreams, to different things that manifest in our lives that we give birth. And as the word is used, travail, and that what comes with giving birth is pain. Pain comes with giving birth, and different things happen as the transition comes to the birth, the baby coming forth. And the reason I want to grab it is for us to understand how it's used in the physical realm and how it happens in the physical realm. They get used as an example because with the changes in a mother's body and all the things that she has to go through in order to give birth. Her body changes, and she travails, as Apostle Paul says there, and it's painful. It's a painful journey from the start, as most of the time the mother will have what they call morning sickness and all the things that happen through that 9 months until the pains increase, and it hits the worst part of the pain, and then the birth happens. And as the metaphor, as an example, we can learn a lot from it. We can learn a lot from that example of the birth, giving birth. In our own lives, that we should be giving birth to good things, to dreams, to visions, to purposes. We should have in front of us things that we are giving birth to. But for that reason of pain, it keeps a lot of us from giving birth to things, because there's a part of us that knows, in order to give birth to this dream, in order to give birth to this purpose, I'm going to have to go through a journey, and this journey is going to include pain. Pain is going to be included in this journey of mine. So the easiest thing to do is to not go through that And what I mean, the easiest thing, the road of of avoiding that inconvenience or the suffering or the travailing or the pains, the easier thing to do is to not do it, to not tackle uh, the dream, to not tackle the project, to not tackle uh, the purpose, whatever that is, the dream that is in front of us. Because whatever it is, whatever the dream is, whatever that purpose is in front of us, it's going to cost us something, and pain is going to be included. And for that reason, a lot of people, what I call forfeit, they forfeit. They forfeit their dream, they forfeit their purpose, they forfeit the challenge that's in front of them. They forfeit it. Yes, it's unpleasant. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, it'll test us. But when the birth comes out and then we look back, uh, the pain and what we went through dies. It's gone. I don't know this is true or not. Maybe some of you mothers out there know. But what they say is if a mother totally kept the concept and understanding of the pain that she went through in a birth, she would never give another birth. But there's something in them that they're able to put that away and have multiple children, in the sense that they'll go back through it again. They'll go back through, even though they experienced the pain, they're willing to experience it again. Now, of course, there's only so many births a mother can give and the body can take. So there's only so much that's there. Of course, we understand that. But understanding the pain that a mother goes through, but willing to do it again. But taking that example in our own lives of giving birth to something. Because male or female, we should be giving birth to things in this world, good things, beautiful things, things that bring blessings to other people's lives. Now we're using the example of a baby coming into this world, but giving birth to something else. And in order to do that, we have to have that seed that comes into us of whatever that dream is, that vision, that purpose, and then go through the challenges of that dream, to go through what we have to endure, what we have to travail, what we have to push through, what we have to come out, what has to come out of us, that we have to draw from within us, we have to pull from within us. Anything that we see, buildings, corporations, churches, organizations, all these different things. Let's just say a bridge that got built, the bridges that got built around the world without the ability to have computers and technology, not even having trucks like we have now. That they built these massive bridges and people would die. People would die, and I'm trying to think how it there was a formula of when they would build these projects that a man, so many men would die per, I believe it was hours on the job, that they would go into building a bridge or a building with the knowledge that X amount of men would literally die. They would know that before they even started the project. It's not that way today. There's a lot more safety measures, but 100+ years ago, it was common that when they built a bridge, a skyscraper, that men were going to give their lives. That it would cost men their lives in these bridges and these buildings. Yes, they still men die, but Now, more women are on these big jobs, but it's not common anymore, like because of the safety measures. Like just a hard hat. A hard hat was invented in the building of the Hoover Dam. The Hoover Dam, they it was the men that came up with the idea of making hard hats, and then they, now they're mandatory. But men died on that, of course, on the Hoover Dam, and the ability to build that dam without all the technology, it still stands today, and it's uh, it's amazing of what they accomplished with it, and it's still doing the same job today. There's less water pressing against it, but it's an example of a dream, a vision, what these men set out to do and give birth to the Hoover Dam or one of these other bridges or buildings or projects that come across that we experience in our lives that we just take for granted. We just take these things for granted in life, but whatever it might be, electricity, the light bulb, uh, the ability to communicate, uh, me communicating with you, the what is now known as the internet, that the being able to interact across the world in a matter of seconds, that this is being transmitted across the world right now like that, and people experience this in the other on the other side of the world because people had a dream, people had a vision to give birth to this ability that we have that I think we just take for granted. And some of you don't know what life is without the internet. Uh, all of us don't know what life is without electricity and light bulbs and climate control, the ability to have heat, the ability to have uh, cooling, comfort, all these things that people didn't have. Now, for me, I think about it. I think about people that didn't have uh, what what we have, the technology. Living in Arizona, in the Phoenix area, where it gets extremely hot. And people say, well, it didn't used to get as hot back then. It still got hot. It still got above 100 degrees. And people lived here. People, this is where they raised their families without electricity, without air conditioning, and they endured it. And people in where there's snow and there's cold, and they endured that, and they lived in it, and without all the comforts that we have today. But even people coming west, they go west from the east and came across this country, people died. People would die on just going from one end of the country to the other. They would die. They would have to uh, go down without paved roads and signs and gas stations to stop at and rest stops, and and going through the journey, travailing and pain. And like I said, I will think about it. I will look at that. I will read about that. I will look at pictures of old lives like that. But today we come into a place that we have a lot of luxuries and comfort, but we still have to endure pain and travail in order to give birth. Around 1900, uh, in the year 1900, they had made the statement that there was nothing else to invent. They had felt like everything was invented, and so much has been given birth to past 1900. So much that was such a misunderstanding and understatement. But we come to our time with all this technology and all this ability, all these advancements, and we can say what they said. There's nothing left to invent, which is not true. It's not true. There are still things to give birth to It's just that, can we give birth to it? Can we see it? Can we have the vision? Can we dream of something that is not here yet that we can be a part of? But in order to do it, we have to dream, we have to have vision, and then we have to go down the journey of the pain that comes with giving birth to it. Now, maybe it's not something that has never been done. Maybe it is something that's never been done, but maybe it's just something that is just going to cost us to give birth to. Are we willing to go down that path? Are we willing to go down that journey, or take that journey in order to do that? That's what makes the difference. Those of us that are willing to go down the path to give birth and travail and go through the pain, to go through the suffering, to go through the challenges, or those of us that want to just go down a path in life of giving birth to nothing, to doing nothing, to just taking a path that costs us nothing. I use the term the path of least resistance, but the path that gives no resistance, of just doing nothing. For me, I can't do nothing. I can't just go through life and do nothing. And what I mean of doing nothing, I can't go through life and not be productive. I can't go through life and not challenge myself. I don't have that ability. And what do I mean I don't have that ability? I feel that God has given me energy, God has given me intellect, God has given me life. And I have an obligation to give birth. I have obligation to have a dream, to have purpose, and to push towards it. I'm not living my life and looking and say, okay, how comfortable can I be? How easy can I set up my life and set things up that I don't have any challenges? I don't have any pushback in my life. That my life is just what we could say cruise control. I can just go on cruise control and cruise. I can't do that, because for me, part of what brings me fulfillment is to give birth to things, to give birth, to have visions. And I have a lot of projects in my life that I'm working on different moments. I have multiple projects going on around me, and I'm working on these at different times of the day. And some, I have a few that I'm getting ready to wrap up. I'm putting the last finishing touches on them. It's been I thought about it, but it's been one of them. It's been years I've been working on it, and I'm going over, and I'm now to the point where I'm fine tuning the details of that project, and this project will be finished in probably the next 2 months. In the next 2 months, maybe 3, that it'll be complete, and I will be bringing that to you when it's completed. But it's just one of them. It's just one of many. And then I have some big ones that may take 2 to 5 years. And I say big ones, it may take 2 to 5 years for me to walk that through, to step it through all the steps and the travailing that it'll take. Instead of looking, just saying, okay, let me just relax, sit there and do nothing. Can't do it. I can't do it. Now, for all of us, there's the challenge of giving birth, dreaming visions, walking something through, and also keeping our peace, keeping our balance, keeping a center. That is one of the biggest challenges in all of our lives, of how much can we birth to, and without taking ourselves off of being where we should be in our peace and our center. And yes, that comes from God, and it comes from wisdom, having wisdom. And it's balancing that out. But what I will discourage is to do nothing. Just say, well, I have the answer. I'll do nothing. I'll give birth to nothing. I'll let other people dream. I'll let other people power through things. I'll just go on for the ride and watch from a distance. I would discourage you from doing that. I would encourage you also to get on big dreams of other people, get involved in them, taking part in big dreams. And big dreams are things that are bigger than us. They're bigger than we are. They're things that bless people's lives around us. Not that it's about us and it gives to us. That's a goal. That's not a dream. A goal is things we do for ourselves. But it can add to our dream in the sense that a goal may be to be in good health so that you can do these other things, but that's a goal. A dream is bigger than we are. But a dream, a vision, we're going to have to go through travailing. We're going to have to go through pain. This may not sound like a great thing to us, but I'm just pointing it out that that's what happens. We're going to have to go through things when we get challenged. When we go through to give birth, we're going to be challenged. We're going to have resistance. Resistance is going to come. We will find resistance. It's going to happen. And we have to persevere. We have to power through in order to give birth to whatever it is, our dreams, our visions, the examples that I've used. But again, to have these in our lives, to have dreams, to have visions of things that are going to bless other people's lives. And there's so much out there for us to do. There's so much we can do to bless this world. We can bless it. And I encourage you to look at people that came before us and things that they did as an example, as an inspiration to us. That you just look at things that have been built and manifested out in this world that it comes to us, and look and say, what did it cost this person? Even in music, the people that write music and songs and that give birth to them, almost always that comes out of a place of a challenge. It doesn't come out of a place of comfort. We do not give birth in any of these things from a place of comfort. It doesn't happen from a place of comfort. It always happens from a place of discomfort. It's just the way it is. We are brought through a place of challenge. We are brought through a place of pain when we give birth to something. So it's like, well, I don't want to go through pain. I don't want to go through travailing. I don't want to go through, but life will deal that to us. Even if we don't have a dream or a vision, pain will still come. What I encourage you is when you do go through it, by taking a challenge on, or a challenge just happens to you, to let it do something in you that it does give birth. Let me say that again. You go through pain in your life, discomfort in your life, challenges in your life, that things that are out of your control, that you weren't giving birth to something, you were just going through life and some challenge happened. That when that challenge happens, you use that challenge to give birth to something. So life deals you a blow. You take that blow that hits you and allow it to give birth to something that blesses. And using that experience. Or we could forfeit, which is, I say, or we could forfeit, which is not the way to go. And you hear those stories all the time where people quit. They forfeit. The thing we use is falling on the sword, like King Saul. He fell on his sword. He fell on his own sword, and he killed himself. He had no dream. He had no vision. He wasn't able to power through. And I'll finish up with King David. King David had a dream. he had a vision of building a temple, to build a temple. And it was part of what he dreamed, envisioned, and wanted to give birth to. He was unable to do it, but he had that dream and he had that vision. But what he did is he transferred it into the hands of his son, Solomon, who became King Solomon. He transferred that vision, and then King Solomon ended up building the beautiful temple uh, that 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 ended up being destroyed, but for a time it was there. They built a new one, but it wasn't at the level of King Solomon's. King Solomon's uh, temple would have been a sight to see, and another one got built. They'll eventually, we know there'll be a third one that's going to be built. There's going to be a third temple that's going to be built, and we don't want to get into the eschatology right now, into that time. But there is a group of people out there that are dreaming of that third temple. I believe they already have the plans. They already have the system that they're going to use to build this up. They're I do actually follow them, the Temple Institute. I just like to keep as things happen with them, just because it's not that I believe that I need to go to the temple and do a sacrifice. No, I like to watch what they're doing though, and I hear these different things, and I don't want to get into the details, but they have that because King David had a dream to build the temple, and then he handed it off to his son Solomon. And it got destroyed. Another one got built. It got destroyed, and there's going to be it also got remodeled in there at one time, and then the second one did, and then there's going to be a third temple that there's a group of people on this day that's a dream that they have to give birth to, but that we have a dream, that we have a vision, that we have a purpose, and that with it, yes, pain's going to happen, challenge is going to happen to us, but that we can power through our challenges. We can power through our pain in order to give birth to something that's going to bless other people's lives. Thank you for joining us here on this Sunday morning. I pray that your life is blessed. I pray that we are a blessing to you. If you would like to be a financial blessing to us, you can text 77977 New Creation AZ, New Creation AZ 77977. We will be back here in person at 12 o'clock noon, 1363 South Vineyard in Mesa, zip code 85210. We'll be back here in person if you would like to join us. If not, we thank you for being with us and viewing us. For those of you that are viewing us and is going to be here in person, we thank you also. We thank you for joining us, and we leave you with the thought of giving birth to something that's going to bless other people's lives. Be willing to give birth to something else in Jesus' name. Thank you for joining us, and have a blessed Sunday.